So today on It Must Be Fiction, if you listen to the story, you're going to hear about how a wolf cost almost $20,000 of damage and lit my car on fire with me and a couple people in it. Um, and it's quite the story. Many people know that we use a kind of this catchphrase in our family that the curse is real, and I don't say it lightly, and I'm not a pessimist by any means. The fact actually that I still have joy in my life and I have my faith in the gospel of our Heavenly Father and of my Savior Jesus Christ, um, and the fact that you know I have this amazing family, amazing wife. Um, uh, Certainly points that while the curse is real, and this story will be a great example of that, it doesn't mean that we're not without joy and blessings. Like I just celebrated my 23rd wedding anniversary. The average marriage in America only lasts 8 years on average. And so I'm blessed in the ways that matter. But the curse is real, and this story is going to be a great example of that. Um, so all of a sudden, I'm finding myself really busy with work as a CEO of a company, working 80 plus hours a week. I wish that was an exaggeration. It's not. I decided to get a used version of my dream car at this point, and there was a variety of reasons, including its self-driving capabilities and safety features, and it even had thermal imaging for viewing animals at night. And I was driving a ton for work, so um, and I stayed within the budget of like what you can write off for taxes. So I didn't go crazy, but for me it was my dream car, right? And I was so excited to have it. Only had it a few weeks, and all of a sudden one of my family members um, starts having severe symptoms of a mental disorder and severe psychosis. Uh, and I can't even explain how scary that is because it's like the person isn't there during psychosis, like they're not there, um, and uh, I found myself realizing that that this family member just needed to get help, and my wife and I talked about it and said, "Yep, let's do it." I told my work, "I'm sorry, I've got to take a few days off for a family emergency," and literally just threw stuff in the car. Was not well packed, didn't think it through. We looked at two hospitals to go to. We chose the one that's closer to family, but it's still far away, like 7 hours away. But the other hospital would have been 4.5 hours away, and we wanted to be by family, and it wasn't ranked as good. So we went the longer route. And then I'm thinking, well, I've got this cool new car, this is a valid emergency. I'll speed a little bit, to get there. And when we left, the roads were great, the weather was great. I didn't even think because I was in like, panic mode, if you will. And I had my son even come because I was scared to be alone in this situation when someone's going through a psychosis, episode. And so, you know, my focus was like, we just got to get there. We just got to get there. And all of a sudden, we get to the mountain pass part, which I didn't check the weather on. And sure enough, there was ice and snow and bad roads. And this particular pass, sure, there's barricades on certain parts of it, and then there's other parts that make no sense where there's like no barricades. And one of the drop-offs is like 1,000 feet at least, maybe 1,500. But because it's at an angle and maybe not steep enough to their definition, um, there was no barricades, which is just insane. And then on the other side of the road, you're hitting you have the same steep mountain, and if you fly off to the right, you're gonna go slam the car into a mountain, into rocks, into whatever, and trees and different things that are in this mountain. So there's no good direction to go in the event of if you were to slide from slippery roads or ice. There's not a right way or a wrong way. Like they both carry equal risk almost. Um, and we come around one of the corners and boom, uh, dead center. Like we're talking hit exact like the front of the car. Um, of all things, a wolf and a big wolf, big enough to destroy my car, cost 20,000 damage, ruined it bad enough that the car lit on fire. Um, and we were just like, uh, shock's not even a word. It even took me a minute to like react. Like it was so crazy. And thank goodness, oh my gosh, like I've trained myself, and I've taught every kid that gets their driver's license in my family. I'm like, pre-program yourself. If you see an animal, hit it. Just hit it. Don't veer to the right. Don't go to the left. It's truly safer to hit it dead on. The only exception to that is like in Alaska, if it's a moose or something, because then a moose is so tall it'd go through your windshield. Short of living in Alaska, you're safe. You're safer just to hit it, and let airbags and everything else kind of do their job. And in our case, that was certainly true, because if I would have veered to the left or right, if I didn't pre-program myself to just hit it, then it would have done that. And what's crazy is because it was my dream car, it even had night vision and thermal imaging to detect animals, interesting enough. But we came around the corner and then just boom, the wolf was there. So even the thermal imaging, which would force the brakes to turn on the car quickly, even if I don't brake, it would brake on its own, is the way that's how advanced this car was. And it didn't even have time for that to kick in, because the second I saw it, I just slammed my brakes. But I was smart enough to hit it dead on and not veer to the right or left. Otherwise, we could have died right from that alone. But we still could have died from this accident in a variety of different ways. The car lighting on fire was scary enough. So we pull over. I try hitting the emergency button because it's an expensive, fancy car. It had like an SOS button that's supposed to connect to satellites. Didn't work. My cell phone didn't work. Freezing degree temperatures. So, we're surrounded by ice and snow. We're at the top of the pass. And there was not really cars or, anyone around. And, obviously every once in a while a car would come around, but because we were around a turn like this, and then right after there's a turn like that. So like people wouldn't even have enough time to like see us and stop, because it literally turned this way and then it turned that way and then started going downhill. And so the few cars that saw us just cruised on by and didn't stop, which is sad, but also understandable. It was like a snowstorm and stuff like that. But, well, as you can imagine, if someone's already having psychosis, an event like this is what's called a triggering event. It makes things much, much worse. So things got really bad really quick. I gave some security protocol to my son to keep the situation safe due to psychosis, and I said, "Guys, I've got to walk around the corner, down the road, and see if we have a reception if I go around the bend." So we came around that bend. I'm like, I'm gonna walk all the way back around, where it's pointed, more towards the valley, and see if I can get reception. And calls weren't going through, but I thought, well, maybe a text will. So I go back to the car, and the car did have like GPS coordinates that it would give you on the map. So like, longitude and latitude, right? And so I'm like, okay, I've got coordinates. So the best I could do is send the coordinates to my wife and was like, send help, serious accident, car lit on fire. And by the way, because it was on fire, they're outside of the car waiting for me. Send help, right away. Well, um, the message I think went through. So it turned green. I'm like, okay, I think that means it went through, right? And I was hoping it did. I come around the corner, and the car wasn't on fire anymore. And we had waited a while, and so at this point we're like, okay, we can't stay outside. It's a snow and ice storm going on. Like we'll freeze to death. We didn't bring tons of warm clothes because again we left in a panic. But literally, thank God, I had some fun, camping gear, and simple stuff, like a tent and funny enough, like BB guns and portable heater for night for the tent and things like that. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've got and I've other emergency supplies, some food, some water. I was like, oh my gosh, like we're so lucky that I didn't unpack the car, because I should have unpacked the car, but I didn't. And so we get in the car. I grab this portable heater. We get some heat, but uh, if we breathe in too much of the heat because it's coming out of propane without keeping some ventilation, like the windows slightly down, it can actually be very dangerous. So it's like we had to turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, turn it off, and then have enough circulation, which kind of defeats the purpose because then the cold air gets in. But we just had to try to stay warm as long as we could. Well, no one comes. Okay, so a while goes and no one comes. So I'm like, she either didn't get the message or something happened. So I venture outside again, go around the corner, and said, no one came. No one's here. I think it had been an hour at that point, if I recall. And I later found out that my wife did get the second text, the first and second. She sent help on the first. She called and said, I just got another text message from my husband that no one ever arrived. So dispatch later found out the person that was supposed to come to our rescue broke down themselves on this scary road with no cell phone. So our help was stuck. And again, it's a bad storm, and so not many people are out, and it's nighttime. And so I said, look, the car's not on fire anymore. We're inside of it. So I'm texting this to my wife. I'm like, just get us a tow truck. Like if dispatch can't get people here, if there's no cops coming, I'm like, which the cops can only do so much good. I mean, they can give us a ride somewhere, but like, it's like the car is still stranded in the middle of this, bad storm, and it still needs to get out of there. And so she gets a tow company from one of the towns to come. Well, I don't think it was her fault. I think she just called for a tow, and like through our insurance even, and they chose the wrong city. They chose where we came from, not where we're going. And the tow truck finally comes. Now, mind you, by the time we were in the cabin of the tow truck, it was now 6 hours total of trying to stay warm, dealing with a psychosis patient. It was intense. Then the toast person says, I'm sorry, but I cannot take you that direction. I'm going this direction. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So now the next nearest town was like an hour and a half away, the opposite direction that we just came. And now we're stuck in a tow guy's truck for an hour and a half. Well, we get to this tiny little town, and my wife's like, and don't worry, insurance said they'll cover a rental car and this and that. And I'm like, okay, great, And we get to the town. There's no openings except for a motel that literally looks like a meth addict motel, just awful, like dump of a place. And this family member was already in the middle of a psychosis attack even before we left for this trip, right? And it had enhanced quite a bit. So I wasn't able to sleep. I had to guard the door to make sure she didn't go into panic and just try to leave the door or forget where she is and freak out, things like that, because during psychosis, they're not all there. And so rather than sleeping, I'm in a meth addict looking motel, guarding the door all night. That's all I did. And which wasn't even much of a night because we were already stuck in the middle of the night, for a while. Well, morning hits and I try to get a rental car. There isn't one. The next town for rental cars like an hour and a half more away, or 2.5 hours the other way, the correct way. And I'm like, well, you guys said you'll cover a rental car. They're like, I'm sorry, there's no rental cars. I'm like, well, there's got to be something. What are my options? I need an option at this point. And they're like, well, there's a U-Haul, but it looks like it's about 2 miles away from your motel. Just take an Uber, and go to. Well, this town didn't have Uber. They didn't have taxi service. They didn't have anything. So then, with all of our crap, so my $20,000 damaged brand new car, dream car that I was so excited to have, brand new to me. It was used, but brand new to me. It was obviously going to get towed for repairs and taken away. And so they're like, hey, any belongings you need, get out of it. So it's like, well, that's not easy because we didn't even have a rental car to put it in. Whatever we grabbed out, we'd have to carry with us. We had to carry it for 2 miles to go to where they rent a U-Haul. And then, of course, you would think you get lucky, right? And they'll have one of those small U-Haul vehicles. No. The only one they had available was a huge U-Haul, which is insane. So now we're taking a huge U-Haul, and I called up one of my employees, and I said, I have a commuter car that I would use for work or let employees use. And I'm like, look, grab another employee. The two of you come meet me here, which was an hour and a half away to the next town. And for them would have been about an hour and a half away to meet at that town. And I said, I'm in this stupid U-Haul. I'm going to drive to that town. If we both leave now, we'll get there about the same time. And then you go back in the other employee's car. And, I'll pay for your gas and mileage and stuff. And then that way I have a car. So we do that and I get a car. But, and then now I'm going to have to drive, all the way back to the hospital with no sleep. And we only made it an hour and a half into the journey by the time we went backwards and everything happened. So just insane. Just the whole situation, no words, just absolutely an insane situation. So, I did forget a detail, which the irony, and super grateful they got there, but obviously too late. Crazy enough, my wife realized my stepsister that they were going to be passing the area, and so if the tow truck didn't come, they would come, and they got there, and then funny enough, but they didn't have room in their car for us. I know we could have broken laws, which is fine to do, I think, in this case, in a valid emergency, and not had seatbelts and stuff, and all jumped in the car with them. But they got there basically around the same time as the tow. So they ended up just, going, and we just all piled in the tow truck. And I didn't really want my sister knowing about the psychosis or what was going on at the time. And so bless their hearts for stopping, and I love them for it. But at the end of the day, the timing was off because by then we did have help. And so it was crazy. And then, all of a sudden, have to do the long trek to the hospital, get stuck in the hospital for 8 days. It completely and permanently changed that relative's life. And for the rest of her life, and opened my eyes to a whole new world, I didn't think I'd ever have to learn. And uh, the lack of empathy and understanding of people we knew and other family members and stuff was disappointing to say the least. Um, and here's this innocent, beautiful girl just suffering out of the blue from an illness that she would have to face. I am happy to say with uh, not everyone responds to medications. Some people do, some people don't. I'm happy to say that this person went on to, graduate high school with a 4.0 and top of her class. And, um, you know, uh, medication works, and she doesn't have psychosis anymore. And we got things dialed in over the years. It took years to kind of learn everything, get things dialed in, but we did. And that's a story for another episode, in terms of the mental health stuff. I think I'll save that for another episode. Um, but you can see the craziness, right? I was already working really hard, and um, I guess here's an important part of the story that I will mention, and I promise I'm not saying this to brag or to boast. Um, but when I worked at this company, I believed in what we were doing so much um, that for over 4 years of the time I was there, I didn't take a wage. And on top of that, the money I did have, I believed in what we were doing so much. My wife and I lent the money, to the company for different ventures and projects to impact and save more lives. So as little of a thing as it was as a car, like cars shouldn't matter, but look, I wasn't taking a wage. I was doing good. I was trying to help people, so like if the whole phrase, why do bad things happen to good people? Well, first of all, look in the mirror and say, am I really good people? I think all of us fall short of the glory of God. And we all have so much room to grow that when I look in the mirror, I just say, I don't want to be a good man. I want to be a great man. And that's like a slogan I have like every morning when I look in the mirror. But I'm fully aware that this, why do bad things happen to good people, is a stupid question. And I'll answer that question in a different episode as well. But it is insane. Like the story, it must be fiction, right? Brand new car, brand new diagnosis, full psychosis episode, trying to get the person in the hospital, hits a wolf, on fire, SOS button doesn't work, patrol help, cops never show, tow truck sent by the cops never shows, breaks down on the way to get us, stuck there for 6 hours, only survived because we had some camping gear in the trunk, or we would have froze to death. And people no one stopped to help us in 6 hours. Not one person, except for, again, my wife reaching my sister. That's it. She and her family are the only ones that stopped. They're the only ones. And then we're in a meth hotel, and then there's no rental car, and then we have to walk 2 miles carrying all of our crap, tons of crap. And then we have to take a U-Haul the wrong direction, and then we have to go all the way back. And then we're stuck in the hospital for 8 days. Our life has been flipped upside down. And mind you, all of this is happening, after we've already dealt with, a child with cancer, after we are dealt with losing a couple other kids, after already dealing with the loss of a sibling, and all this stuff going on. So our life was already insane. And then this piles on top of it, and it's just like, wow, like it truly must be fiction. Like you can't make this stuff up. Like it was absolutely insane. Like it was, there's no words. And so help me, I will be an advocate for mental health. I'll be an advocate for those that have real diagnosis, need real care, need real treatment. Some of it does require medication. It is because medication that person is perfectly fine and stable, has no psychosis because of the medication. So the stigma needs to die. The stigma needs to die. I hate it. Look, if it seems like they're having a real mental problem or you're having a real mental problem, you don't even need your parents' permission. You can go to the hospital yourself. And if you're a parent, don't ignore it. We waited too many days. We should have taken her right away. The stigma prevents people from getting the help that they need. Now, emotional mental health, very different topic. Non-clinical, non-chemical reaction mental health, that's a different topic. And we can talk about that another day in another episode. But so help me, I do want to kill the stigma. I do want people to seek help. If you want to reach out, this relative is an advocate for people suffering from mental health. They're an advocate for that program, for that diagnosis, for other diagnoses, and she has 2 actually. And so we're here to make a difference. We're here to be an advocate. We're here to be a sounding board. We're here to put you on our show if you want to, and let's talk about it. Let's talk about how we can make an impact in our communities. Let's lower the suicide rates in schools. I mean, we have the highest suicide rate in high schools and middle schools than we've ever had in our country's history, ever. And no one's doing anything about it. And I think a lot of it is because mental health is going undiagnosed, untreated, not taken seriously, and people are dying. This is a life and death conversation. That's how important this episode is. It's a life and death thing. And yes, I wanted to share this story, but more importantly, I want to be an advocate. And we'll do an episode where I'll dive into the clinical aspects of various mental health conditions and how you can get educated and involved in your community or know the warning signs for family, etc. But do not ignore it and forget the stigma. Do not judge or be rude to other people. Let's be kind. Let's be Christ-like. Let's care about people. If you don't believe in Jesus and you believe in God or a supreme being, or even if you just believe in being a good person, I'll take it. Whatever your religious beliefs are, be nice. Don't be judgmental. And let's do something about this truly serious pandemic hitting our country as well as other countries around the world. And so help me, we will at It Must Be Fiction. Go to our website, learn more how you can get involved.